I'm going to show you how to make a granny square. A granny square is a really fun technique in crochet. You can do a lot of different things with it. How it's done is we start in the middle and we work all the way around in rounds and increase our work in 4 places to create this square. And you can make them as big as you want. You can make a bunch of them and do a blanket. You can sew them together into a bag, a lot of different things. And it's just a really great base for so many different projects. So I'm going to show you how to do it. To start with, we're going to make a slip knot. And we are going to chain 3. And now we are going to work in the 3rd chain from hook. So 1, 2, 3. This 2 chains will actually count as a double crochet for this setup round. So we're going to crochet into the 3rd chain from hook. And in this chain, we're going to do 2 double crochets. So because that chain 2 counts as a double crochet, we now have 3 double crochets. Now we're going to chain 2 and do 3 double crochets 3 more times, all in this one little stitch here. So chain 2, 3 double crochets, that was once, that was 3 times. And now to end our round, we do chain 2, and we're going to slip stitch into the top of the last chain we worked. So that's actually this one right here, the top of what we are pretending is a double crochet. We're going to slip stitch into that. And then we can actually tighten our tail. You can see we're starting to get the center of our granny square. And now to get in position for our next round, we are actually going to skip 1 stitch. We're going to skip this one. We're going to slip stitch in the next stitch. This is just a way to keep our little cluster here looking neat by doing a slip stitch over a skipped stitch. To end this first round and start our next one, we need to slip stitch into this chain 2 space. And now we're ready to start our first round of the granny square. We are going to chain 2. And for the rest of the granny square, this chain 2 is not going to count as a double crochet. I'd like to count the first one as a double crochet just so it makes the center look nice, but for the rest of it I find it's better if I don't count this. So I'm going to actually do 3 double crochets in this chain space. That's 1, 2, 3. And now I'm going to chain 2 and do 3 more double crochets in that same space. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to repeat that in every chain 2 space all the way around my granny square. I'm going to put 3 double crochets in the next chain 2 space. Chain 2, 3 more double crochets. Chain 1 into the next chain 2 space. You're always going to chain 2 at the corners and chain 1 only across the sides of the granny square. So I made it all the way around. Now I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to do that same sequence of slip stitches to end this row. I'm going to slip stitch into the first double crochet. I'm not going to do it in the chain stitch. I find it looks better if I do it right in that first double crochet. I'm going to slip stitch, I'm going to skip one and slip stitch into the third double crochet. And now I'm going to slip stitch into this chain 2 space. So I'm all ready to start my next round. And this next round is what we're going to repeat for the entirety of the granny square, for as big as you want it. You're going to repeat this round. So I'm going to start with a chain 2. I'm going to do 3 double crochets into this chain 2 space. I'm going to chain 2 for my corner, 3 more double crochets. Now I'm going to chain 1, and I have this space here before my next corner. I'm going to just do 3 double crochets in that chain 1 space. And I'm going to chain 1 again, and now I'm at a chain 2 space, so I have to do that 3 double crochets, chain 2, 3 double crochets to turn my corner. And now I have the sides, so I chain 1 and I just do 3 double crochets in this side. Chain 1, I'm at a corner, I have to do the 3 double crochets and chain 2 and 3 more double crochets, all in this one space. So you can see when we complete this round, on our next round we're going to have 2 spaces where we're going to have this cluster of 3 before our corners, and the more rounds you do, the bigger your granny square and the more of these little clusters you'll have. So I'm at the end of my round. I'm just going to do that slip stitch thing again to bridge this really neatly. I'm going to slip stitch into the first double crochet of the round. I'm going to skip one and slip stitch into the next one. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the chain 2 space. And I'm going to just repeat that round for as big as I want my granny square. As I keep going, I will have more of these just 3 sections, 3 stitch clusters before my corners, and that's going to make my granny square big, and I can do it as big as I want it to be. So that's how to make a granny square. If you want the written instructions for a granny square, you can find those on my blog. That will be linked below. And if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and happy crocheting.